Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Wednesday, December 3rd, early national signing day today. Notre Dame signs the best class, as Marcus Remus put it, pretty much since they started doing rankings. It's honestly a phenomenal class. They've got depth. They've got star power. They've got star power at key positions. So it's a very exciting time for Notre Dame recruiting, and it's a very exciting time for Notre Dame's team. Certainly a stressful time for Notre Dame's team, as the penultimate college football playoff rankings were released last night. Notre Dame drops a spot to 10 with Alabama. I don't know if functionally that really matters, but I don't know. It muddies the water. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Notre Dame's recruiting class. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. It is the season of gifting and giving. ESQ has help you, your husband, father, son, nephew, or even that unlikable uncle some style for the holidays. Known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. ESQ has showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment or use ISD at checkout and receive 10% off your entire purchase. Jamie, let's start CFP. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
We'll start CFP. Were you surprised Notre Dame moved down to 10?
Yeah, I was surprised, especially like after the reasoning they gave was like dog crap. That was a terrible,
nonsensical didn't
reasoning. I just don't think it's one of those things. It's like if they didn't drop them before, they shouldn't have ranked them ahead the week before.
Right.
It's like
they never should have been behind Alabama.
If that's
given this situation.
And I think whatever, like if that was the case, I think it would have been, I mean, obviously they would have had to come up with some kind of narrative of why that was the case or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I mean, they could say like, hey, they beat Georgia, they do whatever, right? Okay, fine. But when you're giving your reason as like the reason they gave for beating Auburn stinks, it's like, it definitely was not winning the game as they did was definitely like if they would put it on Auburn and they were like, okay, you put it on your rival and whatever. And it's just like, okay, that was a tougher game there and blah, 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 whatever. Okay. I could maybe see it, but it just didn't make any sense there. Yeah. And as you know, this guy mentions, like they moved Bama to protect Alabama from dropping out. So it's like, if they lose, they don't have a reason to drop them out. Like, even if they get killed, they can still just drop them down one spot.
Yes.
You know, like, I think that's kind of why they did it. But, I mean, that obviously puts Notre Dame in danger. If BYU is to beat Texas Tech, then I really don't see. I mean, Notre Dame's out. Like, unless they just switch their way of thinking, which, you know what? Maybe they will do.
They could just do. They absolutely
they could because they have before, and I think there is so many reasons to say if you're just being objective about it and just talking about, because their job is supposed to be picking the best teams, right? Well, there's no way metrics, eye tests, winning 10 games in a row, scoring margin, the things that they use, there's no way that you could say that Notre Dame isn't one of probably the 5 best teams in college football right now. They're better than even some of these other 1-loss teams. Like, they're better than Ole Miss, right? But it doesn't matter because they have the 1 loss. Okay, that's fine. They're doing it that way, but it's just so they could change it. I don't think they will. So really, I think everyone's got to hope that, like, obviously you want Georgia to win and BYU to lose.
Yeah.
And and I saw, like, because I saw that there were different things of, like, people saying, well, they need this to be a blowout or this, whatever. I mean, who really knows of how they're going to view that? I don't know, right? I just know that BYU can't win, and it would be good if Georgia wins, no matter what, and it would probably be good if they won by like 10 points or more or whatever. But is it going to really matter if they win by 7? It's, I think there's no really reason to change what Notre Dame's doing in that case.
Yeah. I want to talk about Alabama real quick and Notre Dame vis-a-vis Alabama. It's interesting because they're definitely just protecting them, right? I mean, there's no other way to see it, because here's the thing, right? Regardless of what you say, so one thing I like to look at is game ratings, and this is from bcftoys.com. It's a great resource for like data, and it's FEI. It's Brian Fremeau, the Notre Dame professor, who came up with FEI. These are his game ratings, right? So if you look and I talked about this last year at this time as well. So if you look at this section here, right? So from week 1 is a disaster. So the week 1 loss to Florida State, a negative game rating. It's like a 41% game score. It's got to be the worst loss of anyone who is even close to being in the CFP. I'm just trying to think off the top. Is there a worse one? I don't think there is. So there's that. Then from then on, Alabama went on a 4-game run where they were maybe the best like team in college football, just from the way they're playing against just Wisconsin, Georgia, Vanderbilt. All right, forget Louisiana Monroe, right? But it's like you have a 99 game rating against Wisconsin, a 92 game rating against Georgia, and a 98% game rating against Vanderbilt. Like that is, you're very much playoff caliber. Since then, they have 1 game rating in the 90s against Tennessee. They played poorly against, I don't want to say poorly, not playoff caliber, in my opinion, against Missouri, not playoff caliber against South Carolina. Same for LSU, same for Oklahoma, a game that they lost. The same for Auburn. Here's the thing. They gave them credit for being up 17 points. Like,
what is that?
Watch the game, first of all. Like, Auburn is just completely shooting itself in the foot, dropping passes all over the place. They're running into the ends. They score a touchdown, and it's called back for a procedure penalty. Like, Alabama is doing nothing to cause Auburn problems in this game. Auburn finally figures it out, ties the game, and then they're going down to tie it again, and the guy fumbles. Like,
they almost choked away the game, so I don't understand that at all.
And the game, they had a negative win expectancy.
Yeah,
that's the other part. Like this thing where it's like, oh, teams had trouble going to Auburn. Excuse me, can Notre Dame then get credit for this for the Arkansas situation? Everyone struggled against Arkansas. Literally everyone. The best team. The best performance against Arkansas by an SEC team was by Texas. They beat them 52-37. Beat them by 15. They beat them by 43 points on the road. Like, so that doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense at all. Makes no sense. I'm gonna let's find Notre Dame on this. You'll see what like a playoff caliber team looks like in terms of the way that they're playing, right? Because Notre Dame had 1 stinker. And I apologize for this, the bad radio. It's not going to look good, but I will find Notre Dame, and then I will put up their game ratings. Okay? This is what a playoff caliber team looks like. We are nearly there. And there we go. All right. Notre Dame. Opening 2 games. Okay? 85. Exact same game ratings against Miami and Texas A&M. Okay? 92 game rating, Purdue. 99 percentile game rating against Arkansas. 92% game rating against Boise State. 90, because we round up here, 90% game rating against NC State. 92% game rating against USC. You had the one stinker coming off the bye. All right. You have a 68% game rating against Boston College. And then absolute liftoff. 98%, 96%. Like basically 100% game ratings against Syracuse and Stanford. Like they are playing at a level as good as any other team. Or
look at the other column
at this
too,
time.
with the net final too, right? Of the taking out the garbage time.
Yeah.
Because that kind of stuff is important too. Because
taking out garbage time, 37-9 against Pittsburgh. None of these fake touchdowns. 49-0 against Syracuse, right? And this is like, that's the second half. That's the second quarter against Syracuse. It's 49-0. You're into garbage time. 42-3 against Stanford.
Okay. And I think this is all good and stuff, but I know they don't look at the game rating.
No, for sure. For sure.
They don't, right? But which is why, like, man, I got to tell you, hey, first of all, guys, I didn't get in this to do a lot of math, but I got to do a lot of math in this job. I do. And I mathed the mathing. I did a lot of math for this because they track these things like relative scoring offense against their opponents, right? So relative scoring offense, which is basically how many points you score compared to how many points they normally give up.
Yeah.
So, and I did it for compared Notre Dame, Miami, BYU, Oklahoma, Alabama. So Notre Dame, 148%. They score 148% compared to what of the 100% of the thing. So, Miami, 132%, BYU, 134%, Alabama, 145. So pretty much very close to Notre Dame in that sense. Oklahoma, 114%. They're by far the worst out of them. Relative total offense, which I think this relative total offense is a joke because it's like one of these things. There is no way for me to do garbage time. I'm sure that, Brian Freemo probably has some stuff too. Mm-hmm. But I want to point out that ND is the highest out of them too. 121%. Alabama, 115%. Miami, 109%. BYU, 106%. Oklahoma, 97%. They did worse than the average. They're the only team that their offense did worse than the actual average. Mm-hmm. They follow yards per point. Yard per point is a thing that they look at. Notre Dame, 2nd. Miami, 17th. Alabama, 19th. BYU, 27th. Oklahoma, 36th. Obviously, there's a big gap between Notre Dame's offense and these offenses. Points per play. Notre Dame is 2nd again. Miami, 19th. BYU, 33rd. Alabama, 35th. Oklahoma, 71st. 71st, get out of here in your junk offense. And that isn't an opponent adjusted, obviously, right? But like when you look at opponent adjusted metrics, they're bad. They're in the 50s. Like it's not a good offense. Like their offense is terrible. Their defense is great, is really, really good, but their offense is terrible. So relative total defense. So basically, also you have to know that Notre Dame is significantly better on offense. It's already been established by that, right? So Notre Dame, 79.6% is what teams gain. So 100 would be if their average was 300 yards per game, they average whatever yards per game is 80% of that. So 79.6%. BYU, 88.7. Miami, 73.8. They have the best out of this group. Not significantly more than everybody else, but the best. Bama, 81.1%. Oklahoma, 75%. Relative scoring defense. Miami, hey, hats off to Miami, 49.8%. 51.1% for Oklahoma. ND, 58%. BYU, 65.3%. Alabama, 65%. So when you look at it, of those teams all together, and you look at it, Notre Dame performing against your actual competition, Notre Dame has done better. And then you look at points per play on defense. ND 9th, Oklahoma 6th, Miami 7th, BYU 17th, Alabama 20th. And yards per point, ND 11th, Miami 6th, BYU 10th, Oklahoma 7th, Alabama 17th. And I know it's not as simple as obviously looking at these numbers. They don't just look at the numbers, but those numbers are there. That's the reason you have those numbers, right? Like, and when you put it up to them, they're better than these other teams. It's definitely enough to say, like, okay, like, we're looking at how they played, and obviously you look at strength of schedule, strength of record, all that kind of stuff too, but you look at how they've played and, you know, how they did, and then plus you just have like the eye test of like Jeremiah Love and all this kind of stuff. Like, that kind of stuff matters. Like, it does matter. Points per drive offense, which is another Brian Fremeau. Brian Fremeau's the man, guy, by the way. Just a total man. Hey, I'm not getting a mouse for anything, man. I'm not using a mouse. The mouse has the actual thing on the thing. I'm a Mac guy. I'm not going to be a PC guy. Hobbs 49. No way. Points per drive offense. ND 3rd. Miami 21st. Alabama 27th. BYU 29th. Oklahoma 80th. 80th. Are you kidding me? Just get out of town. Like,
and they're like penciled in. It's like they're
already
walking
in. They're in.
I
They're in. Points per drive defense. ND 11th. Miami 7th. Oklahoma 6th. BYU 28th. Alabama 19th. So yeah, okay. They're doing good on defense, but not enough to make up for 80th. And whatever. I know they don't look at the, yards per play, but like Oklahoma 87th in yards per play. 87th. By the way, Miami 53rd. Alabama 50th. BYU 49th. ND first. First. Like, come on. Like, just what are we talking about here? Yards per play defense. And this is without the garbage time, remember, right? Because this is what Fremeau does. He takes out the garbage time. ND 6th. Miami 10th. Oklahoma 11th. Alabama 26th. BYU 35th. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It's just obvious. Like, this is the problem. They should have never bumped up Oklahoma in the first place. Should have never bumped them up in the first place.
They beat Alabama.
Well, then they could have bumped them down because they were trash the next 2 weeks. Then, like, that's the other thing.
For sure. For sure.
And
other teams have been penalized except for Alabama. Alabama was not penalized. I mean, they lost, so they had to penalize them then. But they weren't penalized when they played poorly. Like, they weren't penalized before. They were playing poorly. They have not played at the level. And I know they don't look at the game ratings and all those other things, but there's other metrics you can look at. There's just the fact of the final scores that you can look at. I mean, the fact that they went and Bud Elliott, I don't know if he was joking or what. He made the comment about
he's just a troll.
No, but he said Bama covered and Notre Dame didn't. Like, I didn't know if that was like a serious thing or if he was making a joke, but the fact that Bama played a 5-6 team, it was favored by 5.5, should show you something about how they're playing.
Yeah.
So, I don't, and it's like they covered. Yeah, they covered by 1.5. Like, I don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, like, there's ways to view how Alabama is playing and how Notre Dame is playing without using game scores or game ratings or whatever it is. It doesn't make sense. Like, Notre Dame is a better football team than Alabama is. There's like there's dozens of metrics that show this. Yeah. They just are. So now I'm going to tell you, if Notre Dame misses the playoffs, okay, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it because, like, you knew it was going into the year. You knew going into the year, you have to win one of these first two.
One of the first two, yeah.
You have to win one of these first two games, and then you're in. Notre Dame's not having these discussions. Notre Dame is chilling at 6 or 5 or whatever they're at if you win one of these first two games. And And by the way, Texas A&M would not be in because they don't have
they'd be out.
Like Notre Dame, like beating Notre Dame is completely propping them up, and so
they'd be treated like Texas and Vandy right now.
Yeah. So I just think like there is a part of this, and look, that this is the case for like Miami too, like and this is where
Miami is getting screwed here too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like they are better
because they're definitely better than Oklahoma, and they're definitely better. They may be better than Alabama.
They're better than Alabama too, I believe.
Right. So they absolutely are. Here's the thing though, right? Is they fumbled the bag. If you just look outside of the Notre Dame discussion of this, like think of the position that they were in, like after they beat Notre Dame. Once they beat Notre Dame, they were in such a good, because now that buys you a win. That buys you a win. Oh, I'm sorry, it buys you a loss. So once you beat Notre Dame, it's like, okay, one loss is good. We are fine with that. So you have one of those in your back pocket. Florida was terrible. Florida State was terrible. All you have to do at that point is get through the ACC. And you have a loss in your back pocket. So you don't even have to, you have the buffer of a bad game, of a Louisville, right? Then they blew it again. You blew it against Louisville at home. You didn't play very well against Stanford. I mean, we talked about it. Tied didn't take the lead against Stanford until 3:48 in the second half. Okay. Which again, you can have a bad game, but then you went and lost again. Look yourself in the mirror, man. Like all these guys, like Chuck Todd and Ari Wasserman, who's completely lost his mind. Like he is clear. Like he lost. Like get 15 riders in a room. What are you talking about? The AP agrees with the committee. Yes. The computers agree with the committee. Like, what are you saying? Like, and the other part is is it Adam McClintock on Twitter? Is that his name? The guy who
I don't know him.
He knows he's a very good. Let me look it up. I'm going to look it up because like he could tell you exactly how the committee thinks about things. And yes, it is Adam McClintock at CFB _ professor. He will just tell you straight up, like he puts out his predictions and like this, he has predicted the behavior of the committee for this entire time. The only thing was he said 8 through 10 is very razor thin between Alabama, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame. And so they flipped Alabama and Notre Dame. He says it's very, very close. That's what he said, according to the thing. Like everything else kind of falls in line. Like you can see why teams get ranked where they get ranked. So like this whole notion of like the only people who agree or who think it's not insane are Notre Dame fans, like that is patently false. And you are in fact like outing yourself as just basically these are the arguments of any random person you would find on social media. You know, and like if you're going to have 70,000 followers, like your insight should be so like Bud, right? Like Bud Elliott, who you don't really like, but he said, hey,
no, I actually like Bud.
But I'm saying like when you talk about like he's kind of trolling or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not big on like the retweeting everyone who's like, hey, Bud, you were right. Like I'm not big on that stuff, but whatever's fine. Like, when he says on his show, like, hey, Alabama's going to jump Notre Dame because they need a buffer, like that is adding value to the discussion. That is more than just emoting and writing article after article about how Miami is being personally wronged. Like they are not. Like look at the data. Look at like there are people smarter than you who are analyzing this stuff. Please seek it out. Please educate yourself and stop emoting every freaking week. I mean, I understand why Falica does it, because he doesn't understand the sport. Okay. Yeah. I understand. Well,
and he's a Miami alum.
And he's in a Miami alum. I understand why Chuck Todd does it because he doesn't understand anything. Okay. But like Ari Wasserman, like your job is to understand college football. And for some reason you don't. And you need to get better at it. Like you just screaming over and over again, but Miami beat them. Like there are people smarter than you who have figured it out. And for some reason you haven't. And you need to do it. Like, seriously, this is not good. Okay. If Notre Dame misses out, it's their own fault. If Miami misses out, it's their own fault. They had an opportunity and they blew it. They blew it. All you had to do was not lose twice to SMU and Louisville. That's all you had to do, and they blew it. That's their own fault. They didn't have to struggle bus in the first half against Stanford. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to struggle bus in the first half against Syracuse with one offensive touchdown on a 2-minute drive. Okay. You didn't have to start the Stanford game with 4 straight punts or the Syracuse game. One of those 2 games, they started with 4 straight punts. That's your fault.
No, for sure. It's all these things, whatever. And also the fact that just like the ACC isn't a good conference. Like it's not. And I think that's just, and the ACC also have themselves to blame for like Duke even being in. Like how can you even allow, like there should be like, you have all these tiebreaker rules and all this. How about one of them is if you lose 5 games, you can't make the conference championship? Like give me a break. How could some team have the same record as someone, but they've lost 3 more games than them? It just because if they lost out of conference games, and then they're not a lot, they're in the conference champ. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? It makes no sense. So it's just stupid. There's a lot of dumb stuff there. Somebody asked a question about the opt-outs if they go to a bowl game, if they should opt out of a bowl game. I don't think there would be that many opt-outs for a bowl game
For Notre Dame.
For Notre Dame. There's not that many high picks that this year. It's like Jeremiah Love, maybe Jadarian Price.
Do you know what bowl they go to if they don't?
I don't know. It'll be like one of the, I don't know, Peach Bowl, whatever the hell, whatever, right? Like it's going to be like a, whatever the extra kind of one of those tops. Like it would be dumb if it wasn't. They should actually play Miami in a bowl if that was the case. But they don't have many guys that are like, top 50, top 100 picks that are in the draft. And like, I don't know if, I think there's a lot of guys too that maybe might go, but are probably need like the playoff to really like have like big, like a big few weeks to be able to go. And even if you're say like Emil Wagner is going to go pro, which I think he probably might. It makes no sense for him to opt out of a bowl game. It makes like he's not a high pick.
I don't think this team's like ready to be done playing either.
I don't think so either. I think that and the other thing, I just think there'd be very few of it. It would make no sense. There's just not a lot of, and there's not a lot of those guys on the team. Also, too, like the guys actually care about the team. A lot of guys want to have like a last chance to play. So I don't
like you look at the defense, they've got a bunch of guys who are coming back, like Leonard Moore, Christian Gray, Tay Johnson, Adon Schuler, like
the core of the team's coming back.
I mean, Devontae Smith would want to play because he's like he hasn't really played. Like he would want to play, but if he doesn't, like you'll just play Dallas Golden. All of the linebackers will play. Yeah. Like so, I don't. The D-line will play.
No D-line would opt out.
Yeah,
there's no D-line would opt out. So basically, the whole defense would play. I doubt that like say like Malachi Fields would opt out, but even if he did or whatever, it's like, okay, well then you get to see Micah Gilbert and then you see what happens. Like, it's like that one of those kind of things, right? Like, I just don't think there'd be that many opt-outs on the team if it happened. But before we kind of get off of this too, because I know there was somebody on Twitter who asked about all those like comparables things, and he wanted about like what if like the boxes checked for to be like a national championship contender. So if anyone who doesn't know, like I did a thing on like a couple years ago where I looked at like all of like the CFP national championships and what like boxes that the majority of them checked for it. And it's like here, I'm gonna find it for you. Okay, so it's top 8 in OF plus, which is the combined FEI and SP plus, their offensive rating. 9 out of the 10, it's 10 out of 11 have been in the top 8, right? Top 15 in DF plus. Every single team that has won a national championship is top 15 in DF plus. Joe Moore Award semifinalists. It's like basically like 75, 80% of the teams. Top 15 explosive plays. It's majority of them. It's have been in the top 15. Minimum rate of havoc. This one's a little bit different because it's been a little bit less, but because I think it's like 8 of 11 now. And right now it looks like it's going to be like, could be like 8 of 12. And then net points per drive, which is basically like hitting a certain mark, basically means like how many points are you winning by, or like are you dominating, basically? Like, are you dominant? Because the dominant teams have the highest net points per drive, and then like blue chip ratio, which most people kind of know about, which is like how many guys that you recruits that you signed over the 50% threshold over your 4-year span. Buddy Elliott created it. And then the other one, which I added because it's just what it's been since 2017. Every single national championship team has had a guy who's ranked top 10 in ESPN and QBR. And out of those teams, so like the last like 8 years, when it was 29 of 32 of the semifinalists were in the top 10. So basically, like, if you don't got a top quarterback, it's not happening for you. And then the 3 teams that didn't have it, none of them made the finals.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was. So based on that, and the guy wanted a comparison to Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami. Well, Notre Dame is yes to all of those. They check 6 of the 8 boxes. The only one they don't is havoc rate, which they are in the top 15 in havoc rate, by the way. They're 13th in havoc rate, but they're just below that 19.5% threshold that has been kind of normally what it was. And they weren't a semifinalist for the Joe Moore Award this year, but a lot of teams weren't out of this list. So anyways, and out of all the teams that are ranked in the top 12 right now, Indiana and Oregon are the only teams with 6 of 8 of those boxes checked. So technically, just based on this, whatever, they are one of the top 3, whatever. Ohio State had 5, which I was surprised by, but it's true. So basically, Notre Dame, they're 6th in OF plus, they're 6th in DF plus. They are one of the top teams in explosive pass plays. They're in the top. They're 14th in explosive pass plays of 20 plus yards. CJ Carr is 8th in QBR. They are 3rd or maybe they're even 2nd. Hold on, where is this? They are they're 3rd in net points per drive. And basically, you have to be over. Everyone who's won has been over 1.47. The only team that's below that this year is BYU, which of course, but since 2017, it's only been a team who's been in the top 4 in net points of drive who's won. So they're one of the top 4 teams. So they, that's a good thing. It's a pretty good thing. And obviously blue chip ratio.
Yeah.
Miami, they have 4. They've checked 4 of the boxes. They're no to over F plus. They're not one of the top 8 offenses. Carson Beck, even though he was red hot at the end of the year, he was bad for a good chunk of the year and threw too many picks. He's 11th in QBR, so he didn't make the top 10. Which you can say, okay, well, he's on the borderline. Well, he's technically below the line. No to explosive passing, and no to the Joe Moore Award, even though they got like, a guy right tackle was going to be a top 15 pick and whatever, right? Like they weren't considered one of the top O-lines. And Alabama, okay, first of all, BYU, 0 boxes checked. So they're just not even whatever.
Yeah.
So really, BYU, Texas Tech should kill BYU in this game anyways. So hopefully that will just cause all and and we can just forget it.
Yeah.
Alabama 2, the second lowest. They're not a top 8 offense. Quarterback not in. Simpson is like 14th in QBR. Not explosive passing, no to havoc rate, and no to Joe Moore award. Yeah. So they're just like, they're not there. And then like Oklahoma's 3 of the boxes, by the way, and it's all just blue chip ratio and the 2 defensive categories. Not even close in any of the offensive stuff, right? And I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious that like the teams that have played the best over the course of the years, I would say, are Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Notre Dame, and that's it. Like out of that have just played the best over the course of the year, played the best. Not saying those are the best teams, or Texas Tech as well, because Texas Tech is there too. And yes, Texas Tech has played a trash schedule, but they've kicked the crap out of the schedule. So that's fair enough. They've done that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, they have some things that, Texas Tech, I think, is actually like, they could be the first team that in whatever many years that is below the blue chip ratio, threshold. They could be that team. Indiana could be that team too, right? Mm-hmm. They both could be that team. And obviously they got a ton of transfers. But, we'll see what happens. Basically, the long part of that, or the short part of that, is it would really suck if Notre Dame didn't make it when they're in fact good enough to actually compete for
and win the national title.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be bad, and that to kind of end it, like Notre Dame, it offends my sensibilities that a team as good as them could miss out. So,
yes.
Hopefully we'll see. Time to make the transition. If you're transitioning to a high impact athlete, so maybe a lower impact athlete, getting a little bit older, maybe you can make that transition to pickleball. H2 Pickleball, founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill, is teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howells, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. For information, contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. All right. Notre Dame's class on 247, I believe, is number 3 in the country. Here's the thing for me. 298.81 basically score or rating on 247, which is that just kind of goes to show the quality of the class. That's a number I honestly did not know Notre Dame could reach, just to be frank. I mean, 4 5 stars, 19 4 stars. It's just kind of an unbelievable type of number. And so the star power in this class is kind of off the charts. I want you to go through you did a top 5 for ISD today. Do your top 5 recruits in this class, and then we'll see. And I'll add some comments too, because I think they're all similar. And I've got kind of a take here I'm excited to share with everybody. So please, your top 5.
Yeah. So they're not my top 5 highest rated guys, because my top 5, my top 5 highest rated guys are Dunham, Premer, Adams, O'Brien, and Pouncey. Those are my top 5. And the thing, I mean, I did pick some of those guys for my 5 favorites because it's just impossible. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, there's too many guys to pick. It was very hard to not pick a bunch of guys on a list, but I do a 5 favorites list every year. So like in 2019, I did a list, and it was like Maris Leofel, Kyron Williams, Howard Cross, and who else was in that? Kyle Hamilton, obviously, right? And but KJ Wallace. So just for whatever, like, and obviously KJ Wallace didn't end up being anything, but he was one of my favorite recruits that year. But that was a year, like, obviously my guys, not all those guys were, some of those guys weren't even 4-stars, but they end up being pretty darn good players, right? And they're my favorites for different reasons. It was so hard this year. There's so many top guys. It was just practically impossible. Yeah, I mean, I had Rodney Dunham was, top of my list. They just haven't signed an edge rusher the same caliber as him. Like, he's a freak athlete. He's an incredible, player. Super high motor. Obviously, watch this guy. Just like his get off is outstanding. He can be as good as he wants to be. And the thing is, too, is like, he's only about like 230 pounds right now. He's not even 18 years old yet. Like, he's going to put on a ton of weight, and, he's going to put on 20, 30 pounds at Notre Dame and just be an animal and just be an absolute animal. And to me, in my opinion, he's the best defensive prospect that they've signed since Jalen Smith, just in terms of like where all of it, where you're just talking about just like freak athlete upside, all of it, where you're like, I can just see this guy being, he could be a top 5 pick one day. Like that is if he reaches his ceiling, that's actually how good he can be.
I mean, that's something. I didn't expect you to say that. I mean, it's like the dream guy that you want at defensive end, right? Like that Notre Dame. It's like they get these defensive ends, and it's like, like, no disrespect, of course, but like Ebenezer Ewatwade, where it's like, man, you awesome. See, like, it's like he looks great, raw, right? Needs to develop, kind of thing. Rodney Dunham could come in and just be. I mean, he could get snaps. He could get snaps for Notre Dame. Kind of right away. Let's have the Aiden Pouncey conversation.
Man, what a stud.
Listen. Okay. People. All right. Ever since Jadon Blair, Kyle Hamilton, he's the next Kyle Hamilton. And then Tay Johnson to some extent, next Kyle Hamilton coming in. Joey O'Brien, next Kyle Hamilton. Anyone who's tall, who's just tall. Are you tall and do you play safety? Good. You're Kyle Hamilton.
Just say it because I want to hear you say it, Greg.
The Payne Pouncey is the Kyle. He is the comp.
Yes. This is what I was waiting for you to say. Because that's exactly how I feel.
He is, and I haven't told you this before. I haven't said this to anyone. Aiden Pouncey is the comp. He is there's a range to him. There's a physicality to the way that he plays. The way that he gets
and
to
explosiveness.
Yes, the way that he gets to the football, the way that he even plays offense, the way that he runs. Like when I watch him, there's a clip coming up. I think it might be this. Oh no, there's a couple plays where they put him in the kind of in the nickel. I mean, look at how he that play right there. Like that's Kyle. Like just absolutely throws his body at the offensive player, and it's mass destruction. And guess what happens? The guy fumbles and everyone goes flying, right? There's a play coming up. He's kind of in the slot. And it's like, man, if you put him out there in that kind of rover, like JOK, this is the one right here. If you put him out there in this like rover JOK, Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens.
Yes.
If you do that, man, like that is a piece that nobody has, and you put him out there with like Joey O'Brien, you put him out there with Kari Adams and Nick Reddish and Chassis. Like, this is the key. Like, this is what it looks like.
Gas, yeah.
This is what it looks like. I hate the Kyle comparison, Jamie. This guy, this is it. I mean, if anyone is similar to him, I mean, look how he runs. He runs just like Kyle does. He truly does. I think he's probably a little bit like
he's probably a little bit faster.
I think he's probably faster than Kyle.
And I personally had Kyle. I gave him a grade of 97, and so Pouncey's 96 for me.
Okay.
Joey Bryan is also a 96, but I honestly like I mean, I guess tell your friends like I'm going to have Pouncey in the Fab 50. He's going to be higher than Joey O'Brien. I actually like him slightly better
Yeah, yeah,
than Joey O'Brien, and it's not a knock on Joey O'Brien. It's just how I feel about Aiden Pouncey, and I just don't know how he couldn't be like. He should absolutely be a top 50 prospect on everyone's, whatever site. He should be.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just an incredible athlete and just like an incredible ball player. Like, um, I'm so excited to see him. And I think like out of a lot of the DBs can play next year, like they have a chance. I would think he has the best chance to play, like and like really make an impact. And it's very hard to be a safety and play. That's why like Hamilton was like the only guy really in the last
Yeah.
years who's done it as a freshman and really, really played. But I think he's the closest.
Yeah.
Do
Carmel
that.
Humphrey says Pouncey is the next Bobby Taylor. Interestingly, I think that's Joey O'Brien. I think Notre Dame has signed Bobby Taylor and Kyle Hamilton in this class. Like that's the basically what has happened, in my opinion. I think Joey O'Brien is Bobby Taylor. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that physicality.
No, it's not the same. Yeah.
And who else didn't? Bobby Taylor. He was not a very physical player, but they move similar. They have very similar skill sets. They have very similar athletic ability. Obviously, Bobby Taylor started as a freshman, and then he moved on to corner. I don't know that they want to do that with Joey O'Brien, but I think similar style players. That's what I think about him. Let's talk about Ian Premer real quick because you said he might be your favorite tight end prospect that Notre Dame has signed.
Since I've been doing this,
special. Yeah. He's a special athlete. Tell us about Premer.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know like he's one of the guys who's listed as like he's not going to enroll early. Amazing, they're going to have 24 guys enroll early.
Yeah, that's
incredible. But he's one of the guys. Don't worry about it. He's going to play next year. Like he similar to a lot of these other guys who come in the summer and they're just too good. It's going to be him because he's just an incredible athlete at his size. And the way that I would describe him is like he is like a taller, faster Michael Mayer in a lot of ways where like because he has the same like compete level and you see the same kind of things where it's like he's willing to like run somebody over and do it. And obviously he is so much better than the competition he's going against.
Mm-hmm. But
just look at how he moves and look at how good he is. So this is obviously him running the ball. Like he is going to be an incredible after the catch guy. And the thing is with like whether you're talking about Komet, talking about Eli Raridan, who's obviously, an exceptional guy as well, with his talent and stuff too. But he has more of a fluidity and it's just more explosive than all of those guys. And I don't think like, to me, Tyler Warren is actually the guy that I think of with him because when I'm just like, oh, this guy's just an immediate game, like a game wrecker. And obviously it didn't happen for Warren right away. I'm not saying Premer's going to be an All-American right away, but if anyone was going to be like, hey, you know how Brock Bowers was just unbelievable from the jump? I think he's got a chance. And obviously, Mayer was like that too. But Mayer, the one thing about Mayer is he was so advanced as like a route runner and all of that. And it was like his work ethic was crazy and all that. But I've heard that, Premer, his work ethic is like he's a guy, he's very, very competitive. He's going to come in and want to compete right away. Man, just an absolute stud.
And the funny thing is, I think Preston Fries was kind of awesome.
He's so awesome.
Like he's so awesome. Like but he is like he's good. I mean, this is like Eifert. Like honestly, he looks just like Eifert did in high school, and he might be a little bit more like an explosive type than he was.
Yeah.
Like he has that. Like if he was the only tight end in this class, I'd be thrilled. he's good, man. Like he's really good here. Like 12 personnel. That I know Matt hates it because he likes terrible football teams who throw the ball a lot. Go Bengals. But
Yeah.
I think like that you don't have to. You're not losing explosiveness if it's Bremer
No.
and Friesel out there.
And the thing is too is football, all today's modern football is all about matchups.
Yeah.
And teams have to decide if you're going to go play 12 personnel. Well, they say, okay, well, now we got to play base, which means you have to have 3 linebackers on the field, right? Most teams are 4 down. They got to play a 4-3, right? So instead of playing a nickel, well, put a third linebacker on the field. One of those guys has to cover Bremer or Friesel.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not going to work that good. I don't think. Like I think think he is so underrated. I think he's incredibly underrated. To me, if he was not in the same class as Bremer, people would be way more hyped for him. And just look at that, like right there, like that double move.
Yeah.
Like that's not normal for a guy who's 220 pounds. Like, he has true receiver skills and true, just like unbelievable ball skills. I think, he's going to take more time because he's going to need to physically develop to be able to play too. And I know it's people in the chat mentioned James Flanagan, who I'm like, I love James Flanagan. Like he was one of my 5 favorite guys from last year.
Yeah.
Like I can't even really think of the last time they get blue chips every year. I know it, but like the level of athletes that would have Flanagan, Friesel, and Bremer there, like I do think because it's different than what they've had, and they've been loaded. They've had when they've had Komet and Tremble and all these guys play together and all that, but it's just I think it's even the ceiling is higher. The ceiling is higher, and I really just. Man, I'm so excited about it. And it's like, I know like it's one of these things, like they signed a really good receiver class. It's going to be tough to keep those guys off the field, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they're excellent. And I'm over the moon with their tight ends, and sometimes like it's a little bit kind of like, I don't want to go into other players, but like, it's just like these guys, I see it. I kind of see it right away, and that's awesome. You spoke of the wide receivers. I think Caden Finley is the one that everyone's super excited about, as they should, right? Like he's a big time player in the state of Texas. A lot of talk about Devin Fitzgerald in the kind of season that he had. So that's very exciting. I think Bubba Frazier. Here's the thing about Bubba Frazier, right? You see a guy like him, and you think to yourself, yeah, but smaller guy, right? But when you look at Will Pauling, and then you look at Jordan Faison and the way that they were able to assimilate into Notre Dame's class, like he makes a ton of sense. Braden Robinson kind of works out the same kind of way, even though he's smaller. Braden Robinson's receiver film, he's got ball skills, like he does.
Yeah.
And Mike Frank has been on this a lot. Like he's a good wide receiver for a smaller guy. Usually it's just like, oh, gadget, whatever. That's not the deal with him. I mean, he's a lot better on that front. So, I mean, when you look at Bubba Frazier, you look at Caden Finley, you look at Braden Robinson, and you look at Devin Fitzgerald, like really, really like this wide receiver class.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think that Finley's got a chance to play like right away.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I think he's very similar to Greathouse, where he's more like he's physically advanced.
I should mention Dylan Faison as well. Excuse me.
Yes. And I think Dylan Faison, could be just like his brother too. And he's actually a little bit bigger. So
this is no, I'm sorry. I put up Caden Finley when I was doing that, but please.
Yeah. Well, Finley, I do think like has a real chance to play like next year, kind of similar to that, where it's going to be tougher because it's a different situation than when Greathouse came. But he's a guy who's just like, he's already like studies the craft so much.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's, his dad was, a big time tight end in the NFL. he's a very good route runner. His compete level, like I just plays very high level, competition in the state of Texas as well, much like Greathouse did. I think there's a lot of like similarities there in a lot of ways, and he's probably more and I think he's more explosive than Greathouse was. I would probably just give him a little bit of an edge there too. Then like at the same time, at least coming out of high school, and can play multiple positions. Like he could be a slot. I think he could probably play the boundary. I don't think he will be a boundary, but I think he could, or could play the field, like any one of those guys, right? So, I mean, I don't think Carmel Humphrey says Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, he's not that he's not that level of like explosiveness. So I wouldn't put him there, but I think he's a guy who's like extremely high floor. Like he is going to be a player.
I'm trying to think of I don't have a Notre Dame comp for him, to be honest. They don't get a lot of guys like him, especially recently. I mean, maybe a little TJ Jones, but just bigger and maybe not as explosive, something like that. Yeah, they don't get a lot of guys like him, and that's like a good thing, or it's a good thing. He's adding something that they don't have, I guess, is the point that I'm making here. And so yeah, it's just it just, I think it also complements the rest of the roster too. You got like real speed, and you get a guy like Devin Fitzgerald as well. Obviously knows how to play receiver. I mean, you got former NFL players' sons, in Devin Fitzgerald and Caden Finley. Jermichael Finley's obviously his dad, and Larry Fitzgerald's Devin Fitzgerald's father. So you've got like kind of pedigree. You've got guys who understand the position. You've got the speed in Robinson and Frazier. And then Dylan Faison, who's obviously comes from a family, you kind of know what you're getting. It's kind of like the Heinisch thing, where it's like, you know what you're going to get from these guys. They're gamers, they're ballers. Dylan is a little bit bigger than his brother. Both they run the same, which is kind of weird. How that kind of works, but the running backs, Jamie. I mean, Javon Osborne. I want to say Javon Osborne. And my advice to him is always wear black shoes with the black spat. It looks better than the white socks. I don't like the white socks. I need to talk to him.
Okay.
But always black on black. It looks really good. He looks faster. I don't know why that is, but he just looks faster on that front. Who is your comp for Javon Osborne?
It was Jadarian Price. And I really think he looked more like him as a sophomore. And then I don't know if he was like maybe because of injury or something as a junior, but I really think he looked more like him as a senior, where you just saw, because to me, a lot of the things were, Mike Martin mentioned it too, right? Like that cut right there.
Yeah.
Like that cut, like that is not a normal cut to make. And that is the kind of thing that Jadarian Price does too. So like that kind of thing where you look at like, the cutting ability, the explosiveness out of it, the contact balance, all of that. And just like the natural instincts as a runner. And to me, he's like, and I had him like, I gave him the exact same grade. I gave Walton a 93 as well too, right? Like both those guys are like, to me, they're like top 100, top 150 guys, easy in the class. They're just both guys that are going to come in that you would say, if you just had one of them in the class, you would say, man, that's a great get. Like that's an awesome player, and like who's a chance to be good. And I think the main thing is, especially what I saw from both those guys as seniors too, is like the explosiveness, and really like I just think he's got that extra gear, right? That you really, 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 really stands out.
You know why you think that? Because he's wearing these black.
He's wearing the black. Yeah.
Look at every time. Every clip he's doing. He's just running through people. Hey, I got a deep cut for you. I got a deep cut on on his comp right here. You ready
All
for
right,
this?
let's hear
You
it.
ready for this? You better be old. You better be an old person to get this one. He's like Rodney Culver to me.
Oh wow, that is a deep cut. I
Let's
love it.
go. That's the deep. That's the
I
deep
love it.
cut.
Yeah.
I got to send that to Priester, Tim Priester. He knows about the Rodney Culver situation. But yeah, I like him. Jonas Walton, he's interesting to me. He's bigger. He's squat, and the guy runs like a 10-6. And he's not like a traditional running back in the sense that like he runs out of, like Javon Osborne, right? Like all his stuff is like very similar to what Notre Dame does. He's like an H-back kind of for his team. I mean, obviously he can run, right? So how do you view him as a prospect? Because whenever you get a guy like him who plays in an offense and in a role that is like dissimilar to Notre Dame, it's kind of like, how does this fit? How do you think that fits for?
I mean, to me, is very similar to Kedron Young, and which we haven't, got to see Kedron Young obviously play because he's been hurt this year. And we probably wouldn't have got to see him that much anyways, just because, of how
We're not
it worked
seeing
out
much
with
of
the
anyone.
backfield.
Yeah.
But don't sleep on Kedron Young coming back from the ACL and like being like a potential RB1 or something next year. Like he's got that kind of talent. But the same kind of thing where he's just like a super physically like advanced dude for his age, and where you see the long speed, right? And that's what I thought that to me, because I don't know, we talked about this before about he has the track times, but I didn't think he ran that fast on the field. Like it didn't look to me like he was matching up with that. And I thought it matched way more as a senior. That's what I thought. It really, really, just the acceleration, all of that, I think is like really way more of that. And like, Coach Trump, so we're talking about Bettis or whatever. I thought he was talking about Bettis for this. Yeah, because he's not, obviously, no one is going to be quite like Bettis because he's just so huge that it's going to be different. But like, I don't know. I really liked the senior film. I thought he really made all the advancements that I thought, and Mike Martin kind of mentioned too, like he's really good in blitz pickup. He catches the ball well. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be just, it's hard. Like Jeremiah Love is so special. So I don't know if like anyone is really going to be Jeremiah Love. It's like that guy's come along once for Notre Dame, really is like kind of have to, how you kind of have to look at it. They're going to be still pretty loaded in the running back room.
Well, look at the running back room before Jeremiah Love came, right? Audrey Estime was good. Kyron Williams was good. Dexter Williams was good. Josh Adams was good. Like you can get good running backs that don't happen to be the best one in the history of the program. It is kind of hard to go backwards. And I will say, like, I thought Jeremiah Love was good coming out of high school. I didn't think he was this. I didn't think that. Like obviously the guy he had that physical ability, but you don't know what he's going to turn into. You don't know his feet are going to be as good as they are, So yeah, it's, the fact that you got speed back there, and then you got a guy like Javon Osborne, who it's like you could see him getting the ball 20 carries a game. Now, obviously, that's not really a thing anymore, right? Unless he becomes someone like Jeremiah Love, but someone who could handle that kind of a role. And I think that's important. How do you evaluate Notre Dame's offensive line class?
I think it's a good class. It's not like the best one that they've had in recent years, but I think they really kind of like checked all the boxes.
Do you think Grayson McKeo is as good as some of the I think On3?
I don't think On3 has him like as a 5-star. I don't have him there. I think he's a very good prospect, but like I just wouldn't put him as like, I don't think he's as good as like Will Black was last year. Right. Like that. It's not to say that he can't be like, maybe one day he's a 1st-round pick. He could be, like that. I think that's on the table for him. But if I was going to compare him and Will Black, last year, it just wouldn't be, it wouldn't be like any than close to me. I just think that like bigger, just way more physically developed, and just also just like the same kind of athlete. I think Makio's got a chance to be great. Like, and I definitely moved him up. I do think like I really think that was so smart that they took Charlie Tom.
Yeah.
And he's obviously, anyone who looked at his athletic testing, like he had like elite athletic testing, but he hadn't played, offensive tackle. And then he went and did like, grad year at prep school at Avon Old Farms. And I mean, he looked good. Like he looked good. Like he looked like a guy that you're like, this guy's a legit prospect. To me, he's, I bumped him up to a 4-star. I think he is a 4-star. Like he's got a chance to, he's another one of these guys that like, because he doesn't have, and he's mean too, right? And both those guys are mean. Like they have a chance to, I think, really like move up. I know, like, that I'm a really big fan of Sullivan Garvin.
You love Sullivan Garvin.
I love Sullivan
for like
Garvin.
months you've been on
love
that
him track. I think he's like, he's one of these guys because he plays at a small school. The competition he plays against, it's like a joke, comparatively to what he can actually do.
Right.
But like, he just absolutely destroys people. Like, this is like, it's like little kids out here, right? Like that's how much it is. But it's just, so it's easy for him. But you just look at the traits and how he plays, and one, his nasty demeanor, and his like, he literally like at Irish Invasion, he ran the 40. And after he ran his 40, just to kind of give you an idea of like how fast the guy is and what kind of athlete he is, they literally were like, hey, have you ever thought about playing defensive tackle? Like he's that kind of athlete. Like he could play center, could play guard. Just, and also too, like a nice kid who's actually just like mean as heck on the football field. Right. So, I think he's a really good pickup. Like Tyler Merrill is a huge kid, and can move people off the ball. I think he is. I have a little bit more questions about him athletically, and just like what he's going to be like as a guard. So to me, I look at him and I'm like, man, he could just absolutely just be destroying people at the point of attack. But I don't think he's like the best athlete out of that. So a little bit more questions with him there. And Gregory Patrick, I think, is someone who's like advanced in a lot of ways in terms of his technique, and obviously his dad is an offensive line coach. You watch him, like anyone who you see a guy get his hips around on a reach block like that,
it's a
they're
great
well
double
coached.
team too. It's great.
Yeah. Double team. And he's someone who it's going to be about his physical development and what it's at. But I really like him. I think, to me, he's a guy who could probably play across the line. Maybe he's a center. I think he's very much like an Ashton Craig in a lot of ways. And I just think that it'll be interesting to see where he is like a couple years from now, because I think if he physically developed and he gets stronger, like he could be, a guy who starts for multiple seasons. And to me, looks like a guy who could be like have a long NFL career if he gets it going. And then, lastly, well, who's the other guy?
Nichols?
Ben Nichols. Ben Nichols is a gigantic human being. Like it's very much in the same, when you think of like Aaron Banks, when Aaron Banks came in and you're like, oh, he just looks different. Or similar Blake Fisher too, where you're like, oh, this is what guys who usually go to like Georgia and Alabama, like how they have those different things. That's his thing, is he's just so big. He is so big. And I think he's actually like a pretty good athlete for someone who's that big. Like he's not like slow footed by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got, some flexibility. He's not a guy who plays like, too high for what he is in terms of like leverage. So I think he can be a heck of a guard, and I don't see him playing tackle. He could play tackle, but probably not. Like I think, like Banks, it might take him like maybe a little bit to kind of get to where he needs to be, but I really, really like him.
I think, we were talking about Sullivan Garvin earlier. I think he's the type of guy that, because of his attitude, to go along with like the physical stuff, right? But because of his attitude, I just feel like you don't really see him failing.
Yeah.
Or like not being successful. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like that's gonna work out. And I like the Patrick. I like how he gets out on polling and moves and stuff. Like I think that's like he's a really good athlete there. I always kind of leave the offensive line analysis to like, people like you who understand this sort of thing. Let's talk about the quarterback.
Yeah. So we've talked about Grubbs a lot. And it's always a thing where, to me, it's all going to be about, and you see here, right? Like I think 2 years ago, he's getting sacked.
Yeah.
And I think he's just become, his pocket awareness got better, definitely over, especially as a senior. I think he is a better athlete than he is now, and he can escape and do a little bit more and improvise a little bit more. He's not going to be a runner, like a true runner. He's never going to be a dual threat guy. And I think he's got a plus arm. I think he's tough. I think he's not afraid to take a hit, and hang in the pocket, take a hit, all that stuff. I think intangible wise, there's a lot to really, really love about him, to be honest. The main thing for me is that when you watch not just the highlights and you watch the actual just games, and you look at the numbers too, he's never been over a 60% passer in high school. That's concerning. He's a 4-year starter, right? That's a red flag.
Yeah. Some people would say it's definitive.
Yes. And obviously there's some exceptions to that. I think Josh Allen is a guy but Josh Allen was
very different. Yeah. There was a very clear reason for that.
Yeah. So to me, it's one of these things. It's like, you can say can it change? Because it has to change, because he doesn't offer the other dual threat part of it. So, you got to be it's 3rd and 6, and you got to hit the slant. You got to hit the guy in the numbers. It's got to be right there on time, whatever. You got to make that throw all the time. And that's what CJ Carr has done, right? That's what he does. So that's one of those things where, you're going to question it. And to me too, if you look at Phil Dracovic was the perfect example of that too, where it's he's still, there's other kind of things going on with him, but the main thing with him physically was he was just not an accurate passer. He never became accurate. And he had better accuracy numbers and all that than Grubbs. So I think that's one of those things that if you're looking at it, if he doesn't turn out to be a guy who ever becomes a starter, that's going to be the reason why. And it'll be 100% the thing that when you're watching him, even when you're just going through the motions of the thrown against air, I'm gonna be looking did he put it on that guy? Did he do this? That's what we're gonna look at.
Yeah. There's been a good amount of chatter in the chat about Teddy Gerard and reclassification. I've heard it. Yeah. Do you anything on that? Do you want to talk about? Some of it is there might be some truth to that. The degree of which they want to do that, I don't know. Right. I can't say, sometimes there was talk of CJ Carr reclassifying at one point. So I don't know. Maybe that sort of thing picks up traction, and maybe it doesn't. Just
he is older.
Of course he is. They wouldn't bring it up if he wasn't, right? And so, look, what I would say to that is I don't know whether they should or shouldn't. I think Teddy Gerard is a better fit for Notre Dame's offense than Noah Grubbs is. And I think I just see him as a better prospect. I mean, there was a ton of pressure on CJ Carter reclassified for kind of the same reason.
Yeah.
People liked Kenny Minchey. I mean, I don't know if this was. I think this was before they even
It was
had
before
Kenny
Minchey was committed.
Yeah. So, but there was the same kind of reason. And so what I would say is like it worked out very well for CJ Carr. And in this era, you can, like, if you need a bridge quarterback, you can get one. So, we'll have to monitor, right? If they're having that discussion, they're having that discussion. But we're monitoring as always. We talked about going to the defense. We talked about the D-line a little bit. We talked about Rodney Dunham. We talked about Ebenezer Ewatade, Tiki Hola, Elijah Golden on the interior. Where are you at with those two guys? I know there was a lot of excitement when they committed.
Yeah, Golden, man, has got just like incredible traits. I mean, he's been super productive too. Like he had double-digit sacks both years. You see him like kind of rushing more. Like he played more interior wise.
Yeah.
So I think that was better for him in a lot of ways. And I think you see too, like he's a guy who wins on like athleticism, quickness, like lateral twitch. He is able to kind of, I mean, if he's going to be one-on-one with the center, he's going to kill most people too, right? Because he's so long. And I think he's just, a more natural fit. Like he's a 3 tech, like he's going to be a 3 tech. And to me, that is a guy that I really, because it always takes time, right? And they talked about it's going to be a developmental program, or they are a developmental program, and that's, I mean, frankly, how it should be. What does this guy look like a year into the program when he has like had that time in the weight room and he's really putting it on? Because I even think like someone like Chris Burgess, who came in and you're like, whoa, he's like impressive right away. Chris Burgess is going to look way different like when we see him in spring compared to when the people saw him at the end of the Syracuse game.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is going to look like a different guy. And then that will be a thing, because like Chris Burgess, there's a chance that he could be like a very big factor for Notre Dame next year, right? And that's the kind of thing what I see with like Golden is he's not a guy who's I would expect to come in right away and play, but in 2027, I think that is a guy to watch out for, because he has all these traits where if he puts it all together and he really works hard and he stays healthy, because obviously that's always a thing too. There's been a bunch of guys who've been hurt and they've missed spring balls. They've missed that. Can't have that if you're going to try to make a step in a year. But I really think he's got just like the traits to really be like a big time interior pass rusher. And Hola, man, I love Hola. Like I don't think he's ever going to be like a truly great like pass rusher or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he is like a lunch pail type of dude who is going to be like 310, 320, whatever, like bigger Kurt Heinisch is what he's going to be. And, I mean, that is a guy who's going to be a problem at the point of attack. And I just think that's the kind of guy that when you're thinking about guys, when you're in those games, when you want to, you need to stop the run. You're in your interior alignment, got to stand out. He's one of those guys that has a chance to develop into one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. The linebackers
is, I mean, obviously it's a smaller class. They only took 2,
right.
This time. But I mean, like Thomas Davis Jr., I mean, obviously he's got the pedigree, right? Like, his dad was incredible, player at Georgia and then in the NFL. To me, I think, because he was a guy who was a safety who switched to linebacker. First of all, I always love that when the safety switched to linebacker, because it's like you just want athleticism. And he was getting more used to playing inside, and I think he really took like a nice step this year. I thought he got way better in terms of just like his like block destruction and all that. He's violent. I think he's got scheme versatility. Obviously, was a guy who played safety. He's a guy who's got good awareness and coverage. It always tends to be that these guys who are the sons of NFL players too are like always somehow undervalued when it comes to
Yeah.
rankings too.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the case with him too. I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. And like Jacoby Clapper was very close to being like in one of my 5 favorites. I don't really care that he didn't like test and do like a bunch of camps and all that, or
He plays with
you know,
quickness, He plays very, very decisively.
so decisively. He's a
Yeah.
linebacker. Like you just watch him, and this guy is a linebacker. Like just like Tavon Coney, the same kind of thing where you're like, this guy just knows how to play the position, and he is skilled. Like he is skilled. Like he's a good blitzer. He's a good pass rusher. He knows where he needs to be in terms of where his drop is. Like all of these kind of things, and he's super productive. Like he's super productive.
Plays for a good program too.
Yes, plays for a really good program against good competition, and is like one of these guys who's like, yeah, he leads the team in tackles. He does this, he does that, whatever. Like continually makes plays. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what his athletic ceiling is compared to say like, a Drake Bowen or a KVA or whatever.
Right.
But I know that he's probably going to beat out some guys who are better athletes than him. Kind of like a JD Bertrand, right? Where you're like,
JD Bertrand's a really good athlete though.
Yeah. But JD Bertrand, I think, made himself into a better athlete. And that could be the same thing with Clapper too, right? Like, because I don't think Clapper's a bad athlete either, right? Like
I kind of see Osbury, like I kind of see that, because Osbury's not a plus athlete in the way that like KVA or Jalen Sneed is, but like I don't view him and be like, well, he's a liability because of that, right? Like I don't see that at all. And so I think like, okay, I think the tendency is to say not a great athlete, Tavon Coney. Like I think he's a better athlete than Tavon Coney is, right? Who just like was not playable in the NFL because of it. I think he's a better athlete than that, right?
Yeah, I would say. I just think he's a good football player too.
Yeah.
And just when you just get a bunch of guys like that, and hey, they only play 2 linebackers. It's hard to get guys in the field. That it's actually so hilarious that this guy says Max Bulla is lazy, because I was gonna say Jacoby Clapper reminds me of Max Bulla. He's that kind of player.
I wonder if he's joking.
I mean,
I don't know the.
I hope so, because I think
I don't know the handle. I don't remember seeing that handle before. It is very much not. He's not a lazy. Lazy person. Period.
He worked till the end to help them get, Mad Framer the last year.
Exactly.
It's just how it turned out. Whatever. I mean, I think it's sarcasm, because look at the linebackers they just got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he says
okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, I know he's not signing in this class, but Amari Irvin. Oh my God, please hang on to this.
Well, we'll talk 27.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is trending in like a very strong way beyond like in many ways. This could be like these last 2 years could be like the standard in the way that things are going. Speaking of the standard, Notre Dame's defensive back. See what I did there, dude? It's not even an ad read.
What
Rocking it. Hour and a half in. The DB class. We talked about Pouncey, who we love. We talked about Joey O'Brien. We talked about Kari Adams, who I think could be. I think Kari Adams can play next year, just from a physical standpoint. Under the radar, I think is Chasten Smith and Nick Reddish as well. I think Nick Reddish is like, speaking of guys that you need in the program that can play like a role for you, I think he's going to be like a sneaky utility type player for Notre Dame who's going to play a lot of football. Is being my that's my prediction there. So talk about whichever one you want to talk about, and I'll throw up some tape.
Well, okay, let's talk about Chasten Smith first, because I think it's because they get Akari Adams and because
Right.
obviously, you like the
Right.
safeties. It's like he just isn't really kind of talked about as much. And he only played 4 games his junior year because he was hurt. And he, committed early. He was one of the earliest commits, but like this guy just looks like a Mike Mickens corner. Like everything about him in terms of just like his length, his just like intelligence that you see when he like his route recognition, like the way he like controls this guy off the line, like all this kind of stuff. Like he's well coached already, and you just watch him and you just see an athlete. Like I think he could be just an absolute stud. Like that might be one of the guys that when they come down to it that we're looking back on in 3 years and being like, why weren't we talking about Chasten Smith? Just kind of like obviously like Leonard Moore. It wasn't like we didn't like him. I mean, I thought he was underrated as a prospect and all that, but I certainly didn't think he was going to be like the best corner in college football. And I don't know if Chasten Smith's going to be that, but wouldn't surprise me if you're like, oh, Chasten Smith is just like, well, he beat out this guy or beat out that guy because he's just good. Like I think that's on the table. And I completely agree with you, Nick Reddish too. My only question with him is just like, it doesn't pop with me as much just of him as an athlete. And that would be my only thing. And then he doesn't have any verified testing. And I do think, I mean, as a DB, I do think it matters. It just does matter in terms of, but I mean, he's another guy who's just a very, very good football player and very intelligent and a good tackler and physical. And, like you said, could play multiple spots. And just seems like a guy that it would be a shock if he doesn't play. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be like an NFL player. He's going to do this or that. It would be a shock if he doesn't play and help the team because I just think he's a good football player.
It's the thing with him is like I talked about him in a utility space, right? Like I could see them in a defense where he has to rotate to safety and you feel fine. And you can see him in a defense where it's like he's playing in the slot and you feel fine, right? But it's like he's never that, oh, he's our starting field safety, right? He's our starting nickel corner. Like maybe he's not your starting nickel corner, but he can come in and play like a role. Like, and so that in itself is hard to project in a way. Like I think he could become like post-injury Sean Crawford.
Yeah.
Where it's like in 2015, Sean Crawford was like a just different athlete because of, prior to getting hurt all the time. Well, like in 2019 and like 2021, like that version of Sean Crawford where it was like he wasn't as explosive. Like I think he could be that. And look, that's a good football player, right? Like he started.
I had sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I had, Matthias Farley and I think like Rod Hurd. Like same kind of just like a guy where you're like, this guy is just I don't know what he's not gonna blow anyone away with just traits. But you're like, all I know is when the guy plays, he's a good football player and you want him on the field.
Yeah. So there's it's look, you want guys like that on your team. And you've also got Kyle Hamilton and Bobby Taylor on your in the same class as a DB. So that works out as well. Jamie, I think we rocked them. I think we rocked them today. We went an hour and a half. We didn't plan for that, but it became pretty clear. You got to talk about these players. The class is too good not to go player by player on that sort of thing. So a lot of people were asking for our reaction to the CFP and the show and everything. So glad we put together a good show. I'm very proud of what we did. And I'm proud of, what else I'm proud of, Jamie? I'm proud of ISD's coverage of recruiting. Go to our irishsportsdaily.com.
Heck yeah.
Check out everything that Jamie did. Matt, Christian just absolutely rocked the space, rocked it. And they did a great job. So, all right, we'll be back. What should we go Friday? Should we give a day, Jamie? Should we go on Friday or do you want to come back tomorrow?
Thursday's better for me.
Thursday's better. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do some more. We'll probably do some more CFP talk. Some more CFP talk. We'll talk about the team a little bit more as well, and that'll be good. So we'll be back tomorrow at 12 Eastern.
Yeah.
12 Eastern time tomorrow. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. Hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Oh, actually 1 Eastern. Sorry.
1 Eastern time. 1 Eastern time. Hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep hitting and hustling.